Viewer discretion is advised.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
The dark. I was born in it.
In the year 2020 alone, there are nearly 30,000 Black women, men, and children reported missing throughout the United States. This is a staggering statistic, and it's just one of many profound numbers representing the racial disparity and impact on Black families whose loved ones go missing. Now, if we delve deeper into the numbers, we find missing cases, but only 13% of the US population. And you can see here in this next graphic how the trend is actually opposite for white people. Far fewer cases in relation to the actual population. But even worse, when Black people go missing, the cases just don't get the attention they deserve.
Case in point, the mother of Jelani Day experienced firsthand the frustration and the desperation that many Black families face when a loved one goes missing. Her 25-year-old son, a graduate student, was missing for an entire month. Just yesterday, his body, found more than 3 weeks ago, was positively identified. BNC's Janine Donaldson sat down with Jelani's mom today. She joins us live from Champaign, Illinois now to talk about this very powerful conversation. Janine.
Well, for 25 years, Carmen Bolden Day loved her son. She protected him, and she watched him grow into the man he dreamt of being. And now she's making sure that he's not forgotten. She wants justice, and she also wants to make sure that other Black families searching for their children don't have to endure the disrespect, lack of compassion, resources that she had to experience.
At what point did you even decide that having your own private investigator and attorney was necessary?
At the point when I wasn't hearing nothing from nobody, at the point that it didn't seem to me that Bloomington was putting any effort into finding my son, nor Peru. And that only people that was looking for my son was me, my children, my friends, people I didn't know. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to plan a search party. I didn't know where to look at. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to do anything. But I was doing everything that I thought that I knew how to do. So I needed to find somebody that knew what to do, that had more knowledge of this stuff than me. My mom kept saying, "Call me the private investigator," but me, I did not want to come across as the angry Black woman that would be uncooperative. So I was giving these.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. Please, if you haven't done so by now, like, comment, subscribe, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring, honey, okay? And to go a step further, tap the notification bell. That way you'll be updated each and every time I'm uploading something new. And I would like to thank you guys for joining me for my first, segment of true crime, okay? Yes, God, honey, we will be talking about obviously the Jelani Day investigation. For those of you that don't know, Jelani Day was 25 years old. Yes, God, honey, 25-year-old African American male who had a mysterious way of disappearing, and due to the lack of effort, and obviously we see the disparities and the differential treatments between African Americans and our white counterparts, child, when it comes to missing persons. We saw it with forgive me, the Daquan case out of Louisiana. We saw it this is all very reminiscent of the Kendrick Johnson case out of Lowndes County, Georgia, and many more situations like this where law enforcement doesn't seem to take it serious enough to search for these young men. Because I do feel like if we were to get to them a little bit sooner, take the take these cases a lot more serious in the beginning, we may have been able to spare some lives here, people. Let's just be honest about that. But that is a fact that we're treated differently, especially in these, like, I hate to say it, these like boondock towns. It's not really taken all that seriously. But yes, Jelani Day was, child, not only an African American male, but African American male who was on the rise in his career. It seemed like he had blinders on to every distraction, except for one possibility, and we will get into my thoughts about what I think actually happened. Again, these are just my opinions. There may be trigger situations in this commentary, so if you are weak of stomach, weak of mind, or you just don't like talking about stuff like this, I totally understand. Because this is touchy. This is touchy, but we got to get into it. We got to have these conversations because our Black brothers and sisters are being forgot about. And this case is obviously not suicide, which is what they think that it is. They like us to believe that Black people are just out here committing suicide. No, ma'am, Pam. Okay, so I want to get into some facts about him. He lived in Bloomington, Illinois. He was originally from Danville, Illinois. This is his mother on the screen right now, speaking out about her son and the situation altogether. Her name is Carmen Bolden Day. He is the second youngest among 5 siblings. He has 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He's a tall man, 6'2", and this is relevant because his physical attributes are very relevant because it'll tie into more thoughts later on. He's 6'2" and he weighs 180 pounds, which just lets you know that he's physically fit. He's a very handsome man as well. From 2014 to 2015, he was a track and field athlete at Alabama Agriculture and Mechanical University in Huntsville, Alabama. In 2018, he graduated from Alabama Agriculture A&M University at the top of his class with a bachelor's degree in speech pathology. Yes, God, honey. Amid the new, Miss Rona, honey, in 2021, he started his first semester of graduate school in the Communication Science and Disorders Department at Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois. While pursuing his master's degree in speech pathology, he lived in an off-campus apartment in Bloomington. He was last in touch with his family in Danville on August 23rd, 2021. Let's pay close attention to these timelines. That just adds to the validity of the mother's statements and my previous commentary on the obvious, disconnect with how serious law enforcement takes missing Black and brown people. Okay, on August 24th, the next day, 2021, he was videotaped going into the Beyond Hello Cannabis Dispensary off of Veterans Parkway in Bloomington. He was wearing a blue Detroit Lions baseball cap, a Jimi Hendrix band shirt, and gray athletic shorts, and was using a blue iPhone 12 Pro Max and driving a white 2010 Chrysler 300, which is registered in Illinois. We've already established that he was 25 years old when he went missing on August 24th. On August 25th, 2021, he was reported missing from his Bloomington residence. On August 26, 2021, His white Chrysler 2010 Chrysler 300 was found abandoned with no license plates in a wooded area in Peru, Illinois. I do want to add this as well. He was first, because he was such a straight and narrow young man, but also a student. Mind you, he is pursuing his dreams of becoming a doctor. I believe one of his other siblings, they had a playful rivalry on who will become a doctor first. So that sets the stage to let you know that this isn't the we ain't in the projects, girl. Let's just keep it real. We're not, we're not talking about, we're talking about young Black kids that are on the road to success, and obviously had a wonderful guiding hand. I also want to add this in there. He spoke to his mother every single day on the phone. It got to the point where the mother, she wasn't annoyed by it. She obviously loves her children, but like he would just be on her like every single day, just wanting to hear her voice. So going into the fact that he was very routine, he kept a stable schedule, especially when it came to his classes. Well, he missed a meeting with his professor, and the professor off rip was like, this is not like him. This is not like him at all, honey. Hold on, this plane. So yeah, so this isn't like him. So she was like, okay, well, maybe he just missed one. So when he missed another meeting with the professor, that's what really rang the alarm in her head. So she then got in contact to see if she can get someone to, do a welfare check on him. Well, he didn't have his updated address in the system because he lived in an off-campus apartment. So the address that was on file was his previous address that his brother was still residing at. And from there, the brother was like, okay, law enforcement's here. Let me call my mother because I know she talks to him every day. So he contacts the mother, well, their mother, and she's like, she thought because it was so routine that she spoke to her son every day, she made the mistake and was like, oh, I talked to him. And then she had to think about it. Actually, no, I didn't talk to him. She went to look in her phone and, obviously by the dates, she was like, oh, yeah, I haven't spoke to him in like a day or two. So now the worry, is kind of on. Okay. So, and we're about to get into that as well now, too. On August 25th, 2021, he was reported missing from his Bloomington residence. On August 26, 2021, his white 2010 Chrysler 300 was found abandoned with no license plates in a wooded area in Peru, Illinois. On September 4, 2021, a body was found floating in the Illinois River on September 23rd, 2021. So are we seeing that it took these people almost a whole month before they were able to find this man? Now let's get into some more things. On September 23rd, the coroner of LaSalle County, Illinois, confirmed that the body was his. The coroner said his organs had decomposed due to the length of time his body had been submerged in water. His family's independent pathology investigation found that his jaw may have been sawed out and his brain, eyes, liver, and spleen could not be found. Both autopsy reports did not give cause or the manner of death. Jelani Day had a funeral on October 10th, 2021. His mother said, the journey does not stop here. I'm only getting ready to lay Jelani to rest, but I can't rest because I don't know what happened to him. Now, since then, further research goes to show that there were some mistakes made in the statements by the family's hired pathologist. His organs were not missing; they were just decomposed beyond. Well, I would say obviously, if you're floating in a river for almost a whole month, I'm quite sure not only decomposition would make them unrecognizable, but the wildlife in the area as well is probably having their turn. As I just read here, it may have been that his jaw looked like it was sawed off. That could have been the attempt to remove his, teeth, because, like they say in, the crime lab world, child, that no face, no case. If you take the teeth out, it's going to be hard to, match dental records to identify the body. The thing that pissed me off about this case the most is that the idea came out that he could have potentially committed suicide. People don't saw off their own jaws, honey. So, I want to get into some belief systems here before I play more of this video, because I think it's important that we hear the mother out, we hear her perspective, that we hear, what's going on. I would like to add, before I move forward with commentary, anybody, this is still an open investigation. Anybody with any information is urged to contact that local, police department. And, you can also remain anonymous as well, as what I'm hearing. Please, we got to find out what happened to this young man. So moving forward, after I do want to make this announcement too, real quick. The true crime series will more than likely be pre-recorded premieres because of these types of situations. I just wanted to get this out as soon as possible and do it in a live format just to introduce the segment. But I do want to let you know that there will be pre-recorded premieres that will have visuals of the things that I'm talking about. That way it's easier for the story to carry and for true comprehension and understanding from the viewers, if that makes any sense. But here and there, I will go live, especially as updates come in on the particular stories that I'll be covering here on the True Crime series. Amen. So I do want to get into some things. So some of the evidence, first of all, this young man was in a dispensary. He changed his clothes, what I feel like is for obvious reasons. He was spotted before this having professional attire because, like we said before, he was very avid about attending things at his school, having meetings with his professor. His schedule was extremely long. Anybody knows when you're studying to be a doctor, lawyer, those higher end type of professions, you will be locked into a schedule like no other. You don't really have time for play like that. Although I believe people do make time, especially when you're a college girl, let's just be honest here, you will be making time to enjoy yourself. But this man seemed to not really. I will be honest here. I don't care how uptight a person is. One thing I do notice when we start to peel back the layers on these higher end professional people, they will always in some way carve out time. And that's very important here that we stay on that they will carve out time for simple pleasures. Amen. Because everyone has to decompress at some point or another. And some people may have different ways of decompressing. One of his ways was obviously, he liked marijuana, and he was doing it the legal way by going to a dispensary. So there was a lot of conversation around, like, why did he change his clothes? I think professionally speaking, it just doesn't look right. If you're coming in there dressed professional, you got your whole doctor outfit on or a tag, or, I even hate to see like nurses in scrubs doing certain things out in public, because I'm just like, girl, you got to be careful about how you portray yourself, right? So and there's also a negative stigma, no matter the legalization of marijuana in these certain states, there's still like a negative, notion to it, right? So let me change my clothes. But one thing I found interesting, and again, I hate that I don't have the visual, is that he stopped and he looked at the camera before entering the dispensary. And the way that he looked at the camera, that was weird to me. It stood out to me. I don't know really what to make about that particular situation, but I was like, when I'm walking into a place, I don't normally just look at the camera. But it wasn't just the fact that he looked at the camera, it was the way he looked at it. Like, I want you to see me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Another thing that stands out to me about this situation is that it was discovered that his wallet and multiple personal items of his were found along the way to where they found his car. So that was very weird. That obviously shows signs of a robbery. This could have potentially been a situation where, what if he was forced to go into the dispensary for some reason? You know, I also find it weird that we don't have, what are the phone records? That should be one of the first things law enforcement should be trying to unearth. Is I would love to know what kind of conversations leading up to, and even prior. I think it's important that we go back several months of cell phone records, text messages, media. Was he on any dating apps? Because unfortunately, as we've seen, and forgive me, I forgot the young man's name, out in, I think it was Philadelphia, just a year and a half ago, a young man was baited on a social, app, a dating app, and child, come to find out, he was being set up and he was killed. So, and there's been other situations like that too, that have been happening in the past, like couple of years. There's been a high increase in that kind of activity. So I wonder what his social life was like. And I believe we live in our phones. Our phones are a direct reflection of everything going on in our world. So that is the main piece. The fact that law enforcement has not yet talked about cell phone records makes me believe that they have something interesting, because they're not going to speak on evidence in like this in open investigation. They've already told us about the findings of the car, the manner in which his body was found. They've already released to us the tea on some of the evidence, like the wallet and his clothes being found. So the big piece of evidence would be the cell phone records. The fact that they haven't even mentioned anything like that in any press conferences, any interviews whatsoever, and through my research, I haven't found anything that mentions cell phone records. So the fact that they have not mentioned them makes me feel like there's some damning evidence with these cell phone records. And they are more than likely, because now we see that they're taking the investigation much more seriously. They have no choice at this point, because the FBI and other local and federal law enforcement agencies have gotten involved in this investigation, because it is extremely mysterious. For all we know, this could be a serial killer situation. But I want to get back to the social, life that this young man possibly had, outside of his obvious hustle and work ethic. Where his car was found. Another theory I have is, what if he was meeting up with someone that he potentially met on a dating app? Let's be honest here, in our social circles, BYOB, or in this situation, bring your own marijuana, smoke me out, let's chill and have a drink, off the beaten path. Because it was interesting that his body was found in Peru, Illinois. You're talking about many, many miles of a difference from where he resided, where he went to school at, and where he was found. So it is my humble belief, and again, these are just my opinions. There's no state of the facts. There's nothing that has to do with the investigation at all. I believe that he was linking up with someone, and he was set up. The license plate is missing. He didn't do that himself. And if it wasn't found in the immediate area, then that means someone intentionally took it. They did everything by allegedly sawing off his jaw, by taking the license plate, by taking, his wallet. Was his ID even found in the wallet? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are things to I want to keep you guessing. I want to stall this investigation by any means. They probably thought by putting him by the river that the wildlife in the area would have made the body disappear. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to know, is there any conversation that has to go around DNA being found in the car? Was there a passenger? if there was some type of foreplay, let's just keep it honest. If there were, you're meeting up, you know what you're meeting up for. If he did, in fact, drive himself to that location where his car was found, that's what you would do when you're doing a sneaky link, correct? I want to go somewhere off the beaten path so we can smoke, we can talk, we can chill, and we can get to the sexual acts. And I believe he was set up. So I would love to know, are we checking fingerprints around? I understand these people probably would have wiped them down, but I would love to hear conversations surrounding that particular type of evidence. Because it's not a faster, I'm not going to say, it is easy, but you're going to have to apply both hands when you're taking off a license plate. Period. You're going to need a penny, a tool, or something. You can't just snatch it off. So I would love to know, where are those fingerprints at, if any? Where is the DNA in the passenger car? He wasn't chilling by himself. And the fact that we see how athletic he was, this man could probably outrun a cheetah, for crying out loud, because linking his past with track and field, he was an all-star. So if it was a situation where it was outside of the car, I'm quite sure if the opportunity presented itself, he would have hauled ass. I also find it interesting that, which makes me believe he was killed in the car, is that they didn't mention any gunshot wounds. Well, no, I didn't hear any mention of any gunshot wounds. They haven't released a full autopsy report. But I know for sure, given what we see, given what we have going on, this man did not do this to himself. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the chat. Please like this video. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody in the building. What's up, Cats Meow? Volvo to you. Nate, how you doing? MVN, hello. Arts and Crafts. Boogie. Prophet, hello, how are you? Lex, hey boo, how are you doing? Welcome, everybody. Yeah. So I feel like, are there other tire I know that, and that's what makes all this sad, is because if they would have took the mother's plea serious the first time, 30 days have went by damn near in this investigation. So if it, depending on what the weather was like during that time period, it could have washed away tire tracks, footprints, even prints. You've allowed the wildlife to do its job, and scavengers and things of that nature. Come on now. So what I would like to be done is, because that was such a rural type of area, and there's probably no security cameras around it. That's probably why he was in that area. That's probably why he was potentially lured to that area in the first place, because there was nothing around. We can do whatever we want to this man, and no one's going to hear us. I also would like to question, is the sawed-off jaw post-mortem? I would like to know, did they do that after he died? And I believe that's how that happened. I believe he was killed in the car, and I believe he was drugged to the river. And that's when they tried to saw his jaw off, to remove, to make it harder for crime scene investigators to identify this young man's body. But I would like to know, what would the motive have been? Obvious robbery, but we haven't heard anything about his cards being used. Did this man have any? Did he have any large bank withdrawals recently? Did he have any real cash on him like that? There's a lot of mystery. That's why I call this the curious case of Jelani Day, because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered here. So also, was he targeted specifically? Again, getting the cell phone records is imperative to answer those questions. But also, going back to my theory that maybe he was forced to go into the marijuana dispensary, I would like security cameras to be pulled from at least a 25-mile radius. Is there anybody following this young man? You know, I would love to know, are we checking his house, his emails? You know, again, we live in our computers, we live in our phones. I believe that would answer a lot of these questions. When it comes down to the crime scene itself, I would even pull security cameras from every gas station around the area. I would really look. You'll be surprised what you may see. I know that's a lot of footage to go over, and that's probably why this investigation will take a lot longer. But like I said, if you would have took this serious in the beginning, we would have been able to shave off a lot of time. Because as we all know, the first 48 hours are crucial. And at this point, we have nothing. But something tells me that they have something. Again, going back to the reasons why they have not openly talked about cell phone records and the data on the computers and emails, I think that they found something. And they have to work in secrecy. That way they can surprise, if they do have someone in mind. Obviously, they're not going to tell the public because they don't want to tip these potential, killers, child. If you were going to smoke the reason I felt like he was lured in a lot of ways is when we look at the fact that if you're going to smoke, you got your own place. You'll smoke in the comfort of your own home. So that's why I feel like there's another party attached to this situation. That's really how I feel. Let's get into some more of this video.
People a chance, and I was nice to them for too long because I felt like if I hadn't been that angry, frustrated Black mother and got on them sooner, I don't know, I would have got better results. I would have got faster results. I would have knew something more in an earlier time frame than it had taken me 30 days. Therefore, from September 4th until yesterday, my son has been laying somewhere. And I've been praying and hoping and wishing that I was bringing him back home. And whatever they felt that they knew, if they felt like that was my son, that they should have been straightforward with me. They should have been helping me. They should have been looking. They should have been doing something, but they wasn't. They even had the nerves to tell me, Carmen, I don't mean to be rude, but do you know there's a 50% chance that that's Jelani? Do you think I'm delusional? I'm not in denial. I know what I'm praying for. I know what I'm hoping for. But I understand there's a 50% chance. But at the time, so while we waiting for the identity of this body, you just sitting there with your hands in your pockets and not doing nothing? And you want me to sit here and accept that? Because that's my son out there somewhere and I don't know where he is. I don't know who has him. I don't know what they're doing to him. I know when Jelani gets cold, he breaks out in hives. I know Jelani like to eat. He hungry. I know when I see him in them shorts, what's going on with my child? I don't care that he's 25. That's my baby. And they didn't give two craps about my son. They didn't care. They didn't look for him. They wanted to create, and they still want to create this narrative that he did something to himself. And he did not. He was too focused on wanting to become Dr. Jelani Day to make sure his mom was okay, to make sure his dad was okay, to make sure he was okay. Jelani tell me all the time, none of my kids have kids. None of them. I'm not a grandmother. I've always wanted my kids to do better than me, and they all have. And Jelani would tell me, Mama, when I get married, I'm going to marry the right girl. So Jelani didn't play around. I only got one son to do that. Jelani wasn't him. Jelani did different stuff. You know, he liked to have fun and go travel and stuff. And he had girlfriends, but he didn't have serious relationships. And because he said when he find that right woman, he was going to do the right thing. And he said, Mom, I'm going to have 6 kids, because he liked this big family of him having all these brothers and sisters. So he wanted to have that. And I used to tease him all the time. And I say, and we're going to get one to act just like you. He said, Mom, I'm going to bring him home to you. I don't even get to experience that with my child. I don't even get to experience seeing Dr. Jelani Day. When my son got his white coat in undergrad, and he sent me that picture that day, I was so proud of him. When he started going and applying for grad school, and he kept getting put on waiting lists, he was so frustrated. He was like, Mama, nobody's going to let me into school. And I told him, John, we're going to pray. And I was like, John, maybe you should look at going to school close here. I said, God's will is not always our will. He wanted to go to Florida. I didn't want him to go that far, because I'm like, what if something happened to you? I got to get to you like this. So when he got accepted to ISU, he called me. He was happy he got accepted to school. It wasn't his first choice, but he was ready to get back in grad school. He was ready to get back in school, and being in grad school meant something to him. Then when he called me and wanted that apartment, and I got the apartment for him, he was happy again. You know, this was his first apartment on his own. So we talk about him decorating and all kinds of stuff. We were supposed to have been doing that. I'm supposed to.
So as I'm further reading, he was found 60 miles away from where he was last seen at the dispensary. That is a long way to travel. So another theory that I've concocted in my head after reading that information, what if he was taken at gunpoint after leaving the dispensary? So I wonder, is there surveillance camera outside of the building or in the parking lot where he parked at to see, is there someone lying in wait for him? Because I don't see anyone driving 60 miles, knowing that they have a busy schedule, a busy life. That's a long way to travel just to go smoke. And I wonder, at the dispensary, what did he order? What did he get? Did he get something to smoke, or did he get edibles? All of that, I feel like is important. So again, 30 days went by. What will we find in the toxicology report? Let's be honest here. If all of his organs were decomposed beyond recognition, or they're not salvageable to do any more testing on, I just wonder what will we find? You know what I mean? Again, this story is extremely tragic. This story is extremely tragic. It's very heartbreaking. It's extremely sad. But I would like justice to be served in this situation. I think it demands it. I feel so bad for the mother, the family. We're talking about a young man, whether he was on the right track or the bad track, he's still a human being. But I love the fact that this man was a rising star in his own right. He was putting in the work to securing the foundation for a successful future. There's no telling what he could have been, what diseases he may have had cures for. We'll never know now. This is definitely a mystery. This is definitely a well thought out murder mystery. Because I think it's going to be extremely hard to bring these people to justice, because there's so little to go on. Like I said, the big key in this will be those phone records, those email records, Again, I'm going to stretch it again. I really believe that they found something because they have yet to mention any of those things. And we know that's seen a lot in law enforcement when they have found something and they're tracking down leads. So hopefully in the coming days or weeks or months, hopefully it doesn't take long at all. We get some real hard evidence, and we can probably be on the search for some people, because this is more than one person. A girl could not have accomplished this on her own. This also could have been some, that particular area heavily racist. This could have been like we saw, oh, forgive me, I forgot the young man's name, out in, was it Savannah, Georgia, I believe it was, last year, where the young black boy was jogging in his neighborhood, and he was being hunted down by these crazed racist bigots who basically hunted that young man down, shot him, beat him in the middle of the street. So could this be a situation like some Wrong Turn vibes, where it's just you're in the wrong part of town? There's so many questions, there's so many theories on what inexplainable theories that could have happened to this young man. But no roads lead to self-inflicted. No roads lead to suicide. No roads lead to I did this to myself. There's obvious foul play. Digging into the research, law enforcement has said numerous times that a lot of this is suspicious and unusual, the way that all this case just is opening up. And I stress this again, if we would have moved faster, in the case of, and forgive me if I'm messing his name up, Quan Charles out in Louisiana, when a mother is pleading with you that they know their child, a parent period has an intuition about their children. It's borderline like supernatural. It is a connection beyond any other. And if a mother says that she feels in her spirit that something is wrong with her kid, we need to start believing them. And even if we come to find out that nothing is wrong at all, then at least we still cared enough to try. Wouldn't it be better to know that nothing is wrong than to discover that, oh, wow, we have a whole murder mystery on our hands? Monsters did this to this young man. To take someone's jaw, to cut, shooting is different than cutting. To cut someone, whether it's post-mortem or whether it's before death, to do that is a psychological strain that will happen to your motherfucking ass. There's a psychological strain it will take to cut someone. So to take off someone's jaw, to drag someone from a car, allegedly, to a riverbank, to saw off their jaw, you are a monster. You have no feeling. You have no empathy. But I stress this again, because it took them so long, pertinent, valuable evidence has probably been washed away. And I'll stress this again. When a mother says, because this mother, Jelani Day's mother, stated that she went up there and she told them that her son is missing. It may have only been 5 hours into it, but she felt in her spirit that her son was indeed missing. And the officer turned to her and was like, he's probably done ran off with some fast-ass girl. Give him time. And this is difficult, too, for law enforcement as well, because when you have a grown man who's missing, no one's going to take it that serious. But as we saw in the Quan Charles case out in Louisiana, he was a whole minor, and they also told the mother he's probably at a football game. Meanwhile, God only knows what these people have experienced in their last moments. While we're over here not taking these people serious about these allegations that my son is missing, something is wrong with him. These people are in the process of probably fighting for their lives. The panic, the fear that has to have been in Jelani Day's mind, his heart, his experience. This is extremely sad and it's horrible. I love that in the beginning of this live, if you guys are just joining, catch the replay, there were some statistics that were brought up. You know, African Americans, we make up 13% of the population here in the United States. And it's crazy how Black and brown people have been one of the most reported missing. And they made I thought it was funny that they stated that white people haven't experienced that at all. I said, because they're the ones doing it to us. They're the ones doing it to us. That's why their missing numbers aren't as great as ours, because they're the ones kidnapping us. They're the ones killing us. So I thought that was hilarious that the news anchor mentioned that. And I was like, girl, well, I'm about to take that in a whole nother direction. You know, it's sad. And I think, too, we need Black media coverage. BT, where's your news anchors at? Y'all used to have like a news theme, didn't y'all? I don't watch y'all no more. But let's just be honest here. Where are these Black spaces? You know, we need NBC and ABC. Y'all need to hire, you need to have a segment just for like Black reporting, because all of this time has went by. And unfortunately, because of that, we may not ever get to the bottom of this case. We may not be able to find these killers because so much time has went by. So I asked, who was reporting on it? And then this also brings up the issue, too, that we just don't take Black women serious at all. We don't take the Black experience serious at all. But and to your point, Lex, and I appreciate that, Lex stated that step one would be for the Black community to start caring about each other again. We have been conditioned to devalue each other and our lives, even blood. That's the truth. That is the truth. It does start within self and within our own communities. But I think when we present things like this on the world stage, we're going to get different walks of life that, you know, I feel like compassion and just the fact that you're a human being treated like this. The jaw being severed off is extremely reminiscent of Emmett Till. If this doesn't send you into a rage, I don't know what should. And how race could be a potential driving force in this situation. The other communities do not respect us because we do not respect each other as a whole. That's true, but I don't want that to negate the fact that on a world stage that we stop caring as human beings. Because when we start seeing stuff like this happen to us, this no longer, I feel like, should become like a Black issue. This should be a human issue. People are hunting other human beings down and committing all types of, you know, atrocities. I do believe the situation could be heavily linked to racial, you know, bias. I believe this case is linked to an obvious setup. Someone tried their best in whatever time that they thought they had to clean this up. But I still hold out faith because they have not, and I'll stress this again, they have not released information on what they found in his, you know, phone records or his emails. The fact that they have not mentioned DNA, because even though things can wash away, you know, unless they wipe that car down on the inside, because someone had to be sitting in that car with him. I wonder, and also the evidence collected in the vehicle, like, have y'all done fingerprints and DNA searching, as I asked earlier? I wonder too, like, are you doing a deep dive into that? Something tells me they are. And the car, let's just break this down. I believe the car itself, inside and out, is crucial. We need to get down to the bottom of that. DNA, fingerprints, all of the above. The phone records are going to be big to break this case wide open. Also, surveillance cameras. I would love to see surveillance cameras from every angle. Let's even go a 50-mile radius, 60, since he was 60 miles away. Let's stretch that out to 100 miles. Where's the closest gas stations around the area? That person that did that to him probably had to stop for gas somewhere along the way, right? I would be questioning everybody at those gas stations and figuring and getting those tapes and interviewing everyone who is seen within the past 2 days of the situation that took place and 3 days after. We have to cover all of our bases here, but I do understand, law enforcement has to go through a lot of different channels to get things done in a timely fashion. But again, we allowed 30 days to go by before we were able to find this young man's body. So we need to be putting a rush service. People need to be working around the clock because God only knows what kind of monster is on the loose. For all we know, this person has done this before. So if we're able to bring justice to Jelani Day, we may be able to bring justice to other victims. And we might be saving some people in the future by bringing this killer to their knees. Whew, girl, that was a lot. But again, I send my love, I send my support, my heart out to the family, the friends, and anybody affected by this situation. I think that it's imperative that we keep these stories alive. One of the reasons I began this series, I believe it's important to have these conversations. And hopefully we can find these people or whoever is responsible. We have to hold them accountable. I would like them alive, and I would love to hear what they have to say on the stand. And I would love to hear, this isn't someone's first time doing this to another human being. Like I stated before, there's probably other cases that person could be affiliated with. I would also like to know too, are there any other missing persons cases or bodies that have been found in similar ways? Because like I said before, this isn't someone's first time doing this. And please don't misunderstand, Gabby Petito was seen as human tragedy. Jelani has not been up until this point. That's very true too. The mother also talked about the difference in treatment. I believe that was down here, wasn't it? The white girl who went missing. They were on top of that as soon as the girl went missing. Like, law enforcement took that so serious. So again, that goes to the obvious validity that the mother, that me, that a lot of social justice advocates are speaking about is the difference in treatment. Our white counterparts are, that's taken seriously. Y'all actually keep their stories alive in the news well after, these situations have transpired. But when it comes to Black people or brown people, people of color, there is no updates. There is no serious investigations put in place to make sure that we can really nail this. You know what I mean? And they were searching for Gabby. They found a whole lot of missing bodies. And I heard that as well, too. I didn't keep up closely with that case. I see what I see in the headlines. But I have heard that. There are a ton in that area from what I have read on. A lot of Black girls have come up missing without a trace. Yep, and they should have done the same for Jelani. Yes, I totally believe that. Well, hey guys, I am going to get up out of here. And that's right, these segments will not be that long. An hour is kind of like what I'm going for with these. And like I said before, we will be moving this to a pre-recorded premiere type of setting for future videos of the True Crime series here on the YB Entertainment TV platform. So you'll have a lot more visuals. We'll have, and I'll also be able to engage in the chat with you guys as well, because we'll be having a chance to watch it together. All right. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know what I'm saying? Hit that notification bell. That way you'll be updated every time I'm uploading something new. I appreciate your guys' engagement and your input on this commentary. Again, sending prayers and love to the Day family and everyone else that knew him, and anybody else who's experienced, because they're not the first Black family to experience these situations. So my heart goes out to everyone who has experienced these types of tragedies. Amen. Thank you guys so much again. I love you. I love you. I love you. Lex, Arts and Crafts, everyone else who joined in the conversation, and those who will be hitting the replay. I appreciate you guys, and intro it out, honey.
Viewer discretion is advised.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all peoples within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.